evidence is sadly Faith Hill singing about taking the world to war because of what happened in Pearl Harbor. I'm going to explain to you all of the frauds of the Roosevelt families, of the so Franklin D. Roosevelt declared war on Japan and the rest of the world, the Axis countries, because of the demonization. I'm now going to explain the Underhill Society and all of the warmongering events that launch all of that campaign, and his family are crooks in the religious sector. You know all of that already. They're related to the Pisos that wrote the Bible, and that was the content of the last video that I showed you. So that was Faith Hill. She has been divorced from her husband Tim Mcgraw, who wears the cowboy hat like me. Good evening all of you. Yeah, he wears the cowboy hat as the icon for the brutal America, and that is what it's all about. Okay, I dare not go close up. Take the plug out. There we go. McGraw Hill Financial. Oh sorry, we're on the other screen, we're on the big screen. I don't need to take that out. So let's go onto the big screen now. Yeah, so do you get it? She has divorced Hill, Tim Mcgraw, who they sing about lovely, my favourite songs all around the world are part of their portfolio, and that is the visits to Paris, and all of the residents in Paris are beyond any sort of danger. And let me just get it onto the other computer. Sorry, I should have done that before I started. Okay, so there is the tabs that we finished off with, and I'll show you that on the big computer in a second or two with any luck. Graphics options, output to the monitor. Okay, so I've explained to you how the people that are the presidents on Mt Rushmore are, I think we might have a picture of that left. We can get it on here. So there's the latest news this week about Google Images and the death of a woman that takes the piss out of religion all of the time, and she died age 52. Her name is Ahern. It is spookily tied into the death of Robin Williams, and everything that Robin Williams made movies about were part of his ill health, and everything that he laughed at in his movie making career he got at the end of his days. Committed suicide on the end of a belt. And all of them are fraudsters. He has massive links to the Philippines and the Pi Pi Pilgrims frauds too, and his son is called Pi. I can't remember what the full name is, but it is just a massive set of revelations that all of that false religion leads to all of the wars through all of human history. So if I now put up there, what was I going to look for? McGraw Hill, the logo, no, I can't remember what we're going to look for. Okay, so let's have a look at the pictures and go back through them. So Caroline Ahern has died this week, age 52, and I would show you the videos that she made, but they are frankly quite offensive. It's about being disappointed by not seeing the size of the man's penis, when she's approached in a nun's uniform, and all of it is really sickening. And all of it is about the name of the Piso man. The code number for the nuns is 50, and that is the shooting of the people at the back of the truck in the okay, there she is. She's looking Aryan, but she's very, very badly conditioned by late in her life. And they are the covers for the royal family, and her name is her name is Mrs. Merton, and that is Merton, that is the massive estate for the Dukes and Duchesses of Sutherland. Yeah, that sent all of the colonists away to the colonies. Yeah, that's the Muirdachs, and all of them come back in the same team, and all of them murder each other. That's why we have the great conflicts. Right then, so more pictures. Just back one at a time. Oh, don't know why that's taking so long. Oh, sorry, I can't find the pictures that I'd set up before. Alright, there it is. Okay, so Robin Williams, no, this is not the pictures either. Oh, there. Okay, so McGraw Hill, do you get that? Financial institution in America. You get that on the Little Sis website, all of the massive scams. So her husband and she are forced into another divorce because this is the start of World War II with the demonization of Japan and Pearl Harbor. Right, let's get going. And the perils come into the story later on. Okay, there's the murder of President McKinley, yeah, and his immediate successor was the man who spent the weekend when he was murdered in the woods shooting bears. Yeah, that's the bear Rothschild man, who is Teddy Roosevelt, and he is on the family bloodlines that I showed you in the last video. We can take you there for a transient period to show you where we ended up. Okay, there's the last video. That is the person that is related to the Piso family that wrote the Bible, to all of those American presidents that are on the Mt Rushmore sculptures, yeah, and he's married to the shag bag that is the Empress Marie Louise of Austria, which is the topic of my video 3 videos back. Yeah, that's the massive Austrian empresses and the Prussian empresses, all of them fighting with each other. Yeah, and there's the Maria Theresa person that is the cover for the current candidate for the Prime Minister of England. It is absolutely sickening. Okay, and there's the Habsburgs coming in. All of the money men all over Europe become the funders for the global wars. World War I is a total tragedy. Okay, so those are the people that's the last bit that we had to tell about Napoleon Bonaparte. And if we look at the names further up, you'll see that he is an out and out aristocrat. Okay, so there's Christina of Denmark, the Bourbons, René de Bourbon, families from Lorraine. It is just a massive, and there's the Bluebeard jokes about the pirates again. Okay, so let me take you back through the pictures. Do you see the tragedy that I'm going to tell you? And the pictures take you into the schools where all of them went, all the jokes they make in their movies about their children in those schools that commit suicide, yeah, that are also linked to the Bible fraud. So McKinley murder. Okay, so he was the president. That his vice president was the Teddy Roosevelt. That's the teddy bear in the woods, with the links through that massive bloodline that link you into the Roman emperors, to the Rothschilds and the cloven hoofed people that are the child families, all through that. And then you get into those Habsburg Hugh Capet dynasties, and that takes you into the Poppos of Grapville and Grapfeld, and that is Queen Elizabeth II, and all of it is on the Saxe-Coburg and Saxe-Gotha almanacs. Yeah, they are totally hung out to dry. Okay, and the killing of this McKinley took place in a theatre for a laugh, and then that was burnt to the ground, and the place that replaces it becomes the scene for the later Hollywood movies in the 1990s and the early noughties. Yeah, it's all a massive joke. Okay, another day of sorrow. It's the takeover by Teddy Roosevelt in the murderous Love Your Neighbour Pi Pi Pilgrim Fathers, when they were called the Delanois. That's the New Deal for FDR, and FDR is the man that did the dirty at Pearl Harbor. Yeah, the Pearl jokes I will show you on my OneNote tabs later on. So back we go, and we see another day of sorrow. Yeah, all of it is mad people that get trained in the mind control centres. I forget what the name of the killer was. There's the dead body. He died of gangrene in the intensive care hospital. Yeah, Dr. Fingland. Yeah, if the cash flow is right, then the medics do the dirty. I used to work at Imperial College London, and the coppers that are part of the fraud team used to sit outside the door of the intensive care unit with their machine guns as I walked to and fro. Yeah, with my test tubes in my hand, and that's the totally meaningless aspects of my life. Okay, there is the killing in the theatre building. Yeah, with the stars and stripes right behind him. Everything is totally melodramatic. Yeah, and the Gettys are members of the Roxburgh Book Club that is in my hometown, run by the Duke of Roxburgh, Guy Ineos Jesus Kerr. Yeah, and for a laugh, they have now dropped the ownership of that, and they've given it to the man who's the cross-dresser from Australia since 2011, and has started to become a very revealing fraud researcher, Guy Innes Kerr. Yeah, married to a Williams. So you'll remember that Robin Williams, yeah, so there's the dead man. He was in hospital for several days. Everybody thought he was going to be okay, and then he was killed. Yeah, and it's all done, and then suddenly you've got an unelected Roosevelt, Teddy, yeah, the teddy bear, who's linked to those elite families like all of the Rushmore villains, and he's alleged to be America's greatest ever president. Yeah, that's why Robin Williams plays him in the museum movie. Williams's life is totally sinister when you look at it in retrospect. Okay, and all of his movies I loved, because he pretended to be a caring person. And look up the videos that he made with Sheryl Crow, and you'll see the motives. It's just a massive fascist operation, and he understands the Christianity joke and the reasons why it must, under all circumstances, be kept a secret. Yeah, and that is the illegitimate marriage. Yeah, because Faith Hill and Tim Mcgraw swore their oath to Jesus Christ on the Bible. All of them are so stupid that they end up tearing themselves apart, yeah, for the biggest sin that the world has ever committed. Back we go. Okay, World War II declared. Okay, that's a pity that we missed that one. There we are. Franklin Delano, Delaney's donkey, Roosevelt for all the Freemasons, Arthur Hastie and Creme de la Creme Telfer in Melrose. Yeah, it is totally sickening. Yeah, all of the shenanigans, all of the Japs get demonized in the internment camps in their country. They lock them up, thousands, hundreds of thousands, in internment camps in America. Yeah, for the scams that he and the president who died in his bed, sorry, the emperor in Japan, yeah, all of them are still in the G8 countries, and all of them are the biggest fraud that the world has ever seen. The biggest cause of human death. Oh, sorry, we've gone the wrong way. So that's him signing that, and that is the demonisation of Pearl Harbour. And the Pearl Harbour stuff is about the Underhill Society, which I will tell you about in a few minutes. Okay, so sorry, I cannot get that to go. Okay, so this is the Godfather movie, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more, if I get the time, about the Turnbull clans in Scotland and the Barneville clans in Scotland and in Holland. Yeah, that are the darts players now. There is the Senator for Nevada. When they get the inquest into his criminal activity as the Godfather, he is now coerced because he does a killing, yeah, in a prostitution den of a prostitute, and he cuts out her fanny, yeah, and the blood's all over. And you understand the cutting out of the fanny now, don't you? Yeah, it's the Jack the Ripper joke. It is the female vagina, which simply translates as Piso into Italian. Yeah, and the Nile and the killing of the man in the film that Robin Williams makes about schoolboys, yeah, is all about him attending the St Albans school in America, where the KERMIT Roosevelt attended. I told you yesterday it was a Rockefeller. It's actually a KERMIT Roosevelt. Yeah, and the man that gets murdered in the film is called Neil, and that is the joke about the naming of the Nile and the rivers of blood for all of the massive warmongering crimes. Yeah, even when they were Europeans in the bad old days, yeah, for them, when the Indian nations still were America's native sons. Yeah, the massive joke for the country and western singers that have got them all on their knees now trying to be my Facebook friends and to make up for everything they've done. Yet they point at the sun god as they sing that song, Johnny Cash, and all the fulsome prison jokes. They know full well that the prison is the Piso joke too. Right then, so do you remember that? That's when Frank Pentangeli's brother comes in, and that is the Senator for Nevada who threatened him and was forced to back down because he, in the Corleone brothel, murdered the prostitute there and cut her fanny out. Yeah, laced with drink. That's the prohibition joke. Yeah, and all of the presidents and all of the kings and queens run the narcotics all over the world. Okay, that's Senator for Nevada now. All of them may be innocent people. That one's very familiar, but I don't know who he is. Okay, let's go back. And Pearl Harbour, it's a fucking tragedy. Yeah, ships sunk in the harbour, massive loss of life, and as Faith Hill sings that, she's standing in front of the airbase singing romantically that you're going to be over there very, very soon, which is why their divorce has been absolutely shattered, like me, like Gwyneth Paltrow's, and all of the jokes about the Mayflower, yeah, where the Roosevelt family were on it. Yeah, Delano, the New Deal for World War II, yeah, and that's even before the Japs get involved. That's the raising of the funds by Bing Crosby and the Freemasons like John Wayne, yeah, and that is the Lend-Lease scams. Even the citizens' gold is taken from them and put in Fort Knox, which is, of course, the sectarian violence. Knox is the Protestant person. Yeah, and the person who brought me into this earth. Thank you for that, Dr Knox. All of them have passed on now. Okay, so further back, so you get the Tim Mcgraw Faith Hill Financial Services jokes now. Everything has tier after tier of cover. This is the Innsbruck joke, because when you look for the secret society, that is the Underhills. So when Frodo was going to the pub in Bree, which is the joke about the hole at Bree in the Maginot Line in World War II and in World War I, yeah, he is trading under the name of, for secrecy reasons, of Underhill, and it is a global SS operation, and I've dissected it entirely on the OneNote tabs, and hopefully if I get a move on we'll get on with it. It's based in fucking Brooklyn, yeah, the born in Innsbruck joke. Yeah, no one declares, except when I made the video with John Patterson. He knows that Pope Benedict was from there, he knows that Hitler was from there, he knows that Arnie Schwarzenegger was from there, he knows that Archbishop ODO was from there, and all of it is really sickening. Yeah, and Hannah Rothschild knows that her former husband, Lord Brookdale, laughs at the same fucking joke, and it is Jesus with no room at the inn. Yeah, there is Oyster Bay, Brooklyn. Yeah, do you get it? That's Pearl Harbour, Brooklyn. Yeah, no room at the inn for Jesus. And the Underhill Society, which links us to the nickname for that Ahern woman, yeah, because that is Mrs. Merton. Do you get it? It is all the same massive jokes. And there's the Oyster Bays, and I now understand why the gods now have got me understanding that the oysters now live on worms and crustaceans, and I now watch them feeding every day with a great deal of understanding. They go for the worms in the Elliot estate that is Springwood, and that is the estate that was Franklin D. Roosevelt's and the Roosevelt's estate in several generations of these massive war crimes and the murders of the presidents who are in power when they are the vice presidents, and they're called Teddy in the woods just to show their power. Yeah, and their bloodline takes you back to the Christian Bible fraud and the emperors in Rome directly. Yeah, there's Merton dies. Okay, and this, it's all, they're on all the chat shows. The Norton chat show had her on just about 3 weeks ago. Yeah, totally dedicated to shielding the monarchy. That is why they're called the royal family. Right now, so Duchess of Sutherland and Merton, yeah, those are actually the Duke and Duchess of Northumberland. Yeah, I work for them for 30 quid a day. Yeah, that's the Merton is the estate. Yeah, that's where the colonists were sent to the colonies. She's got massive holdings under several of them. Thank you to my informants in the church. And this one looks just like Humphrey Bogart, or that poofy guy that was in all the films in the 1960s. I forget his name. Okay, all of that is relatively irrelevant, and that is Guy Innes-Kerr and Mrs. Williams. I don't know whether or not she's related to Robin and the massive frauds that we're describing here. I'll find that out in the course of time. Right then. Okay, Underhill and Bree. Yeah, nothing at all. Underhill and Bree. Yeah, that's the Bree pub in the Lord of the Rings, and it is the hole in the Maginot Line at Bree in Belgium, right next to Waterloo, for a laugh. There is the man with the sword refounded. That's my role in life, and that sadly is part of Shakira's joke about the pies. Yeah, the pies are the vagina joke. Yeah, and all of it is about Jesus never living, and all of the air balloons that take you to heaven never get you there, and you end up with your head under the dirt and your feet sticking up in the air. And for them it's a huge laugh, because they then use that joke that they are immortal, like Celine Dion, who's related to the Canadian people and that were the presidents, 2 generations of the Trudeaus. Yeah, and she's related to Chrétien too. all of them are in the same team and they're totally murderous. Yeah, and that is them. I did not press any buttons there. Okay, Dead Poets Society synopsis: suicide. Okay, Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. Richard blames Neil's death on Keating, yeah, the manic teacher played by Robin Williams, and Neil is the name of the Nile, and all of it is the religious joke all rolled up. Not sure why they switched that so quickly. Oh, they've taken the Dead Poets Society down. So that's one of Williams's, but so suddenly they've taken the images away without me pressing any buttons. I'm not sure what was coming next. Pub at Bree, Aragon. Google search, there it is. Okay, and so we've got the Piso pipe. Do you see it? Every one of the jokes. And that other one looks like the laid laws of Jeddah. Yeah, one of the really decent people in this region. Like him a lot. Very powerful rugby player, but all of it is a total set of treasonous acts, and the judiciary and all of the law enforcement in Scotland are just as twisted as it is in Chicago. Thankfully they have no guns on the streets here. Not yet. Okay, so that is the where the little hobbit comes in, and he has to call himself Underhill, because he's not allowed to declare that he is from Bag End, and Bag End, take it or believe it or not, is in fucking Warwickshire. Yeah, I found that a couple of days ago. Right next to where Tom of Warwick is the joke about the King Arthur story being a success. Okay, Neil Bush went to the St Albans school with the actor who plays Virgil Kint and with Robin Williams. That's been taken down now. Yeah, they've taken all of the evidence of that, and that's why he makes that film about the suicide in the school, and the man who commits suicide is called Neil. Yeah, and that is exactly the same time, yeah, that I was doing my studies to become a leader of men in the university sector and women, and we're not allowed to smack them now or cane them or do anything. But this lot, he spent his life renewing the Christian Bible in the Vatican. It's a total fraud, and that's why his name is Neil. Yeah, and that is the joke about kneeling in the church. It means Piso, and it means there is no Jesus, and you're a stupid person. Right then, St Albans School. Okay, there's one in England too. The head of the UN Weapons Agency comes from there. Her name is Baroness Amos. Okay, she's got only an ordinary degree. She did not get any sort of credentials. Okay, thank you to John Patterson for revealing that to me. Okay, this is the American equivalent. Yeah, the blue and white slacks. Yeah, exactly the same as the Kelso laddies as they ride the marches, and the stripy blazers, and all of the jokes about the town crier coming out and sending them to their wars. Yeah, that is the goodbye Mr. Chips, won't see you again this side of the Atlantic, Faith Hill. Yeah, it's absolutely ruthless unless you're a presidential child. Yeah, for them it's okay. You get the War Office, you get the pinstripes, you get to run the Air Force, the Navy, and all of the scams. Yeah, and that is just like the image of the Austrian crypt that I told you about the other day. Yeah, with the Barbarossa icons on it. Okay, and there's the British equivalent, St Albans schools for boys and for girls. Yeah, same colours. yeah, much more Britannic, yeah, harsh and forbidding, yeah, but there they are, and all the public schoolboy rules. And that is the only thing that appears in the papers about their legacy in crime, yet that they are prone to being homosexual, yeah, and to being sexually deviant. Yet that is the only thing they have to rely on now, and that's in the papers today. I forget who's the victim of it this week. Yeah, all of it is just a cover for the totally decrepit government we now have. And I wish I'd put Theresa May up here. Maybe I did. No, I didn't. So Theresa May was in the last story, and let's now go to the tabs and show you what I've got. Okay, so you've seen some of those new names on that list, and I'm going to take it forward to where we... Okay, that's Robin Williams. That is actually, yeah, can you see that that is Robin Williams? That is actually, they pretend, Harold Shipman. Yeah, that's the killing of 250 people in the NHS. That means that every person in the NHS, whatever their profession, they've now been affiliated to all of the corrupted royals. That's the Royal Pharmaceutical Society, of which I am still a fellow, but I cannot afford to pay for my membership, because you get nothing for free. Yeah, all of what they do is they make them spend hours and hours learning what they already learned at university. That now costs them £70,000. I got mine for free, so did David Cameron, which is why he's resigning. Yeah, all of that is the CPD scams, and CPD is like the Hill McGraw is another massive American institution. I think it's in Intel, and it's part of the secret policing and the Homeland Security basis. totally twisted. Okay, so can you see why the man begins to develop a severe depression? Yeah, they pretend, I don't know whether or not he had Lewy body dementia, but everything that he made the films and laughed at, yeah, all of the neurological issues that he tried to treat, he becomes a victim of. Yeah, and his wife could not sleep with him, and that will be the restless legs syndrome that you get when you get those dopaminergic deficits that they were going to impose on me, yeah, with the forced medication. Okay, and that is a letter from Liam Fox, yeah, who was in the Foreign Office trading weapons with his homosexual boyfriend, and I've got all of their director numbers and all of those frauds. Yeah, so let's keep going back, and we should get to, oh no, okay, St Albans School, and that is the transcript on it, and there's Neil Bush partnered the German Pope. Yeah, he went to work on the translation of the Talmud and of the Christian Bible. Yeah, and that is the joke that we told you in the last video, about all of the models that they use for the Pisos, yet declaring that we are in the Bible. And now you've got the Bush family that is in the bloodline able to edit it and to encode themselves into the story. Yeah, they will not have the courage to do that, take my word for it. Okay, because they now see the power of the gods in the heavens. Yeah, and it's not a Kermit Rockefeller, it's a Kermit Roosevelt, which makes it even more serious. Okay, and I don't know where the Roosevelt tab is. So that says, oh yeah, this is why the Pope resigned, because he's on the institutes with the young guy that is Bush's son, and that's the same years that we're involved. Yeah, that's post-Iraq war. You remember how brief Pope Benedict's reign was. Yeah, so he's on the fucking board with yeah, KERMIT, yeah, and KERMIT is the name of the Muppet. There we go. Chief Rabbi René Samuel Sirat, later Cardinal Ratzinger of Hitler Youth, is on the committee to transform the Bible that the Pisos defrauded in the first place. And he was born, Benedict, in Innsbruck. Yeah, the Brooklyn joke and the Pearly Gates joke, because the oyster catchers are there. Right then, isn't it evil? Yeah? Monotheistic religions fostering understanding of Christianity, Islam and Judaism. The next world war will be based on that deep understanding, and those are the warmongers that took us into the last conflicts. Do you get it? It's more important that it is Roosevelt, yeah, than Rockefeller. They're just banking dynasties and slight diversions, but that's the Tom Hanks diversion, which is absolutely lethal. Yeah, a huge joke for Hollywood. Okay, they're on the Foundation for Interreligious and Intercultural Research and Dialogue. Yeah, and that's why all of George W. Bush's regime, they had to pack up, because I've got all over my website all of their links to Judaism and the Lubavitchers, and that is the Luby Lou joke for Andy Pandy and Klaus Maswich in the 1950s and 1960s on the BBC TV. Yet along with the German monarchy jokes, totally twisted. Right then, let's see if we can find the tab for, oh no, it's on history somewhere. Oh, and the last tab there is the Lazar banking dynasty. I almost missed it. Also went to the St Albans school. Yeah, and this is State House is a council house, and this is the Lazars and John Key in New Zealand. Yeah, he is in the lineages of the Lazars. Yeah, and that is Caius College, pronounced Key, at Cambridge, the light of the world for the non-existent Jesus. John Key still gives me receipts for every letter I send him, and I'm still a returning resident. And this is the joke about the Christchurch earthquake. That's Christ never lived, which is why the Christian church, selling the fudge in the middle of the city, was the victim of the biggest shake-up of the lot. Yeah, almost all the deaths occurred in that region. That is Christchurch. Yeah, it's the same joke as the Kentish hub for the Archbishop of Canterbury. Yeah, it's apps, and they got their earthquake in 2005 when I came there for an interview. Yeah, and the Lazars are the early banking partners of the House of Rothschild. Right then, so let's find a history tab, and then we can find the Roosevelts. Not the Roosevelts, the Roosevelts. So there's history. If we come to the right, we'll find Rothschild, occult, global, Piso, A La Chapelle, all the treaties, and there's the Roosevelt tab. Okay, so Robin Williams plays Teddy. Yeah, here's the Murrays of the FDR links. Okay, so the Murrays are all through European history as well, and FDR has a history in the Borders just up the road. I used to meet all of my clients for fishing tuition in the car park at Selkirk, and in that grave behind it, with that symbolic steps for the Masons to climb up as you become a 32nd order Mason. Yeah, it's very much curtailed there. You've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. Yeah, fifth columnists, yeah, can get to the top of that one. Okay, and that is the graveyard where one of Eleanor Roosevelt's ancestors is buried. Yeah, I'm not going to cover this in detail, but let's just see what I've written at the top of most of the tabs. Okay, Edward Hutchison Robbins, and that's the Robbinses that are on that Bush bloodline, and James Murray and Barbara Bennett ignite the FDR bloodline, and that is, yeah, the links, yeah, to the cemetery. And like Rothschilds, they inbreed from Teddy through Eleanor. Yeah, that's all of the bloodlines that are published for the American presidents, even on Wikipedia. Yeah, you can see that they do what the Rothschilds do in Frankfurt, and all of those 5 Arrow centres all over Europe, they marry their first cousins. Yeah, and Eleanor is a massive plant, and she is allowed to become a philanthropist and to talk the hind legs of Delaney's donkey. Yeah, and in Ireland it's Paddy McGinty's goat as well, and that's the goat and the asses that carry the war dead to World War II. Yeah, and back again, right into those graves. And there's a man collecting in Sainsbury's this evening for some, I forget what it was, charity for forestry, to get rid of the pine forests that we have all over our country now, and to get the deciduous forests back. Yeah, less money in it and less of a joke for the New World Order that laugh at the pyramid joke all of the time. And the reason it's so tragic, he explained it very, very well, is that it is that every one of the trenches that have to be built in World War I need to be lined with wood, otherwise they cave in because of the massive rainstorms that God gives all of the people there. Yeah, it is absolutely sickening. Yeah, and only 4% of deciduous woodland survives in the UK today. I wish you well, mate. Great big guy, like the man that murdered his family in the Devil's Advocate movie. But there were no attempts to be even vaguely offensive by either party in the discussion. All of it was, and I told him about the drainage of all of the wetlands in New Zealand, and only 4% of them are left too. Right then, so Teddy is on Mt Rushmore. Okay, we've told you that, and this is the cemetery in Selkirk that links, and the Selkirk Freemasons and the Pipe Band are the people that grieve that only 2 of the 800 people that went to Flodden came back to their town. It's the same team that killed all of the dead, and that's the Scottish piper joke that ends up in the Tyrol in World War I, and for them it is a massive thing to dance to, yeah, like the killing of Jesus at Easter. Yeah, and Robin Williams makes all the jokes about the making his concerts in Vietnam with the Rolling Stones. Yeah, the Rolling Stone for Jesus. He is an out and out religious fraudster. Yeah, and that's why he marries in his second wife into the Philippines, where the piso currency is still used. Okay, so Teddy is on Mt Rushmore. I've shown you the evidence for that now. You have to wait for the video, or sorry, you can look at the video that I made one day before this one, and you'll see that it's a massive set of interlocking jokes. Okay, the family tree makes it plain that he is a relative of the Barnhills of Minto Crag, and also in the family tree they have Angelina Jolie's bloodline, the 9/11 bomb basket case, who had to go on rehab because all of them get mentally unhinged thanks to God. That's why I put it in that heavenly blue colour, okay, which just happens to be the heavenly blue colour of the azure mane. Yeah, and that's my greasy rag that I'm wearing for the Rothschilds in my back pocket, in my ass, yeah, which is Jesus in other jokes. Yeah, the azure mane, the colours are all over my town. Yeah, they're in total panic now because none of them are engaged. They're not prepared to do anything to save the future of the countries all across the world that have been afflicted by the stealing of their central banks. Yeah, and none of the people that are the covers for that in my town are involved in that. Yeah, not seen the central banker from Canada yet. Yeah, so this is the cover for Dom Joly in the Scottish comedies, and the Jolys are in the Rothschild Bloodlines. Yeah, it's on the Rothschild archive, and they'll have taken it down now. Teddy is one of the great museum joke presidents, and he is played by Robin Williams. Last marriage to a Schneider. Yeah, and that is all the jokes that try and cover my news. And the Schneider was my first American girlfriend, and that's the munitions and pharmaceutical magnates. Yeah, she used to argue with me about how you pronounce aluminium. But very, very intellectual person. Never heard from her in decades. Yeah, just sent to see what he's like. Yeah, and that was at Welcome when we were working under Sir Richard Sykes. Yeah, that's got to pick a pocket or two. See next tab on his genealogy. Teddy Bear, Rothschild, but no proof yet. Okay, it's coming thick and fast. Take my word for it. Yeah, massive, massive jokes about North by Northwest and everything that we told you about in that movie. Yeah, and all of those bloodlines, all of them are linked to the Rothschilds. All of you know that now. Yeah, ever so far back, right into the Babington and the Babenhaus parts of Bavarian Austria. There's Teddy. Yeah, do you get it? Theodore becomes Teddy. And that's the one that's on horseback. That's the Piso icon, is the horse. So he and Robin Williams are on horseback through most of the museum film movie. And the man that's in the office thing, he is Gervais, and Gervais is in the Bloodlines too. Okay, 26th President of the United States, preceded by the murdered McKinley. Yeah, it's a sad, sad story. Yeah, the mind control centres and all of the control that they have on all of the zombie-like creatures that they turn out from there means that if any liberty destined man, and the man McKinley served in the American Revolution. Yeah, he's a loyalist. He's prepared to get into uniform and to fight. Yeah, and he was taken down for that. Yeah, much easier than a fudged election. Succeeded by William Howard Taft. Now, I thought that he was also succeeded by not Marlene Dietrich, the woman that is Norma Jean. That President Norma Jean is Marilyn Monroe. President Monroe comes into the stories about the selling by Napoleon of the Louisiana territories, and that is the New Orleans massive riverboats and the trading empire all across the west coast of that continent. And I just noticed today that the Los Angeles place, because of those angels in the name, it is America's holy city for a laugh. That's why they get all the earthquakes. Yeah, it's absolutely sickening. And when you see the folk singers singing "Good morning America, how are you? I'm your native son," all of them are pointing at the sun god and laughing like tar boys. Yeah, there is no political correctness even now. Yeah, all of it is a massive, massive fraud against the people. And the people now can read and write, but they spend all of those skills, yeah, in front of the telly with their jaw hanging down, watching the German football captain, who's a Schweinsteiger, yeah, and that is Rod Steiger, who played Napoleon, and the Schweins that are the Rothschild Rothschilds when they went through that transition of Bacharach, and all the Lorelei jokes, all of it is the same belly laugh. That's on another tab, the Aryan Master Race tab. I'll tell you that tomorrow. Yeah, unless my house gets burnt down through the night. Right then. So there's McKinley, President, preceded by McAdoo, succeeded by Charles Herbert Allen, as Secretary of the Navy. Okay. I don't think there's anything sensational here. I just want you to know that this is the Rothschild link, and it is the link to Marcus Aurelius and King Herod in the Bible, all in the same Pennsylvania teams that were the writing. Okay, where did he die? Yeah, you got it, in Brooklyn. Yeah, the one that was fighting for the North, fighting for the democracy, yeah, not for the retainment of slavery. Yeah, died Oyster Bay, New York, where the Underhill Society is based. And Stobo is in the Eleanor Roosevelt bloodlines, and Stobo is in Peebles, where the Tweedsmuirs were the Governor Generals for the whole of World War II, and that is the I'm a lumberjack, I'm doing okay. Yeah, and it was originally run by Sir Walter Scott. No, sorry, it was originally run by the Balfours. Okay, I'll just take you through those tabs. Okay, Eleanor is in the same Pi Pi Pilgrim Father, Anna Anici bloodline, yeah, and those are her relatives, are the people from the Selkirk region that we've already talked about. Okay, and when they get across there, they marry their cousins all the time, first cousin, every time they get their opportunity, like the Rothschilds in the woods back home. Okay, and there's Underhill coming in now, so they're based in Oyster Bay too. Okay, and they invite FDR to give the speeches there, and he declares in the speech, when he goes there after the war, when all of them are living on the massive proceeds that they get, yeah, because all of them are shipped across there right up to late 1943, and that came from the folk singers in the Cross Keys Hotel, which is the joke about false religion in Scotland and Ireland, yeah, out of southern France, yeah, in the place where World War I started. It does not get more evil, take my word for it. Okay, so let's look at Robin Williams quickly, and I'll show you some of the scams and the covers for his religious frauds, because when you understand this, it's very difficult for you not to laugh at all of the 9 billion citizens of the world who do not understand it at all. Okay, so that's in black and yellow, that is all his charitable scams late in life, yeah, and he's totally dismembered with ill health from around 2008 when I came back. Yeah, he's got no life beyond there. Okay, and let me show you just the story. In the last video I made, this guy got a mention because of the Peter Sellers stories. Okay, so he attributed the recent suicide of novelist Jerry Kosinski losing his creativity and sharpness. Williams felt he could overcome. Let me tell you the Kosinski story, but let me show you what happened first. Yeah, while the recent suicide of novelist Jerzy Kosinski, to his fear of his creativity and sharpness, Williams felt he could overcome those risks. Okay, so this is the man that made the movie Being There. Okay, he wrote the novel Being There. It's the cover for Queen Victoria's Rape and Pillage by the Rothschilds, and the bringing up of the only child, Marcus Manuel, on the Isle of Wight, and it's played by Peter Sellers, who is the illegitimate bastard son of Lord Mountbatten, who was killed by Prince Philip. Okay, let me show you the story. And this one's a religious fraudster too. It's all over their transcript. They cannot help themselves but to laugh at it right into their grave. Thank you, Teach, here in the town. Beautiful, beautiful women. Okay, he's got a massive entry on Wikipedia. I'm not sure why they're reluctant to show you the being there part of it. Oh, here we go. Do you see that bit? The Bavarian nobility. Yeah, it's very sticky at the moment, the computer is. This is the Clinton Mountbatten monarchy Queen Victoria fraud. Jerry Kozinski, Polish pronunciation, Jez Kaczynska. Okay, let me get rid of those tabs for a minute. Okay, so, born Joseph, yeah, all of the jokes about them being at the hands of the murderous Nazis led by Hitler, Rothschilde, yeah, and all of them who are the warmongers and the profiteers get let scot-free away right up to late as the beginning of 1944, yeah, in that folk song, yeah, that is the place of entry through another island in New York. I forget what where the Godfather and everybody has to sign in. Okay, so he's the American chapter and president of PAIN. Yeah, that's the papyri in the old days. Born in Poland, he survived World War II, and as a young man emigrated to the US. Doesn't tell you which year. Yeah, and he committed suicide in May 1991. Okay, and he was known for various novels, among them The Painted Bird and Being There, the joke about Queen Victoria's only child, which was legitimate, which was sired by blind Prince George, and you know all of the rest. Yeah, all of that is the Bill Clinton scams that begin from there. And when you look it up, yeah, I've shown you little video clips of the trailers. Yeah, it involves all the American starlets. Yeah, and it got an Academy Award, and that because it is the massive deceit of the whole world. The man Kozinski then commits suicide when the truth comes out. Yeah, and that's likely to have been precipitated by Greg Hallett beginning to publish those horrible truths about how Queen Elizabeth, as the daughter, like Bill Clinton, of Prime Minister Winston Churchill of Blenheim, yeah, they're in all the massive frauds, yeah, and they're in the Churchills of Blenheim are in that ancient book club that is run by the Roxburgh Castle regime just up the road. Right then. So they get prizes for it, yeah, and then all of a sudden God gives him the conscience, and you get his sudden death on the end of the string. One of Kozinski's most significant works is Being There, a satirical view of the absurd reality of America's media culture. It is the story of Chance the gardener. Yeah, do you get the garden jokes? Yeah, a man with few distinctive qualities who emerges from nowhere. Yeah, that's the British loins of all of the people that are the kings and queens in Britain. Yeah, and their uncles in the River Valley, the triumvirate come from. That is the River Test and the River Itchen. Yeah, where I was allowed to fish, because everywhere I've been, it's my destiny to go there. Thank you to Andrew Rice, who had his heart attack when he invited me to come and speak at a neuroscience conference, yeah, out of New Zealand. Yeah, massive links to Norway. It's a massive fascist cabal. Yeah, suddenly becomes the heir to the throne. Yeah, do you get it? That's the sires at the other end of a Wall Street tycoon and a presidential policy advisor. Yeah. Prince Marcus Manuel, yeah, never got the prince title. He got murdered by the Windsors, the Urca Fat one. His simple and straightforward responses to popular concerns are praised as visionary, despite the fact that no one actually understands what he is really saying. Jim Fetzer, yeah, made that massive interview with all of the official secrets about this, yeah, not prepared to talk about it again since your mate Greg Halleck's killed. Many questions surround his mysterious origins, yeah, that's the Rothschilds, King of Kings, fucking Queen Victoria. Yeah, it's not, in this case, it's actually a legitimate child who was loved by Queen Victoria because it was actually hers from a love suit with a Hanoverian prince. Yeah, spent all of his wars in the palaces in London, and they gifted the blind Prince Georges, they gifted Buckingham Palace to the murderous Windsors. Okay, we've had enough of that. Let's go back to Williams. So, what does this say at the top? Robin Williams played Teddy in the museum and the serial killer shipman in the NHS fraud. You've seen the picture now. There is no doubt in my mind they are now in a total panic. They've got that Evans character from Radio 2 now. He's now presenting because presumably Jeremy Clarkson's gotten sick or cannot live with the risks, yeah, of the pathology theory, but he is now, Evans is now being booted out of the Top Gear programme, yeah, and Evans was replaced as the Radio 2 star by the actor who plays King Juan Carlos when King Juan Carlos is too unfit to come out. All of them may well be dead, yeah, they're covered by body doubles and actors, and that's on the front page of the papers. Then he makes fascist movies with Sheryl Crow and the air balloonist out of Santa Monica Boulevard. My favourite was on the Parkinsonian treatments. That's the films that he made. But when he got the first sign that God was to inflict it on him and his ballistic limbs in bed, he became clinically depressed and ended it all, allegedly, huge sins, but the morgue could launch the vessel to the havens. Yeah, I don't know whether or not he's dead or not. Yet they're capable of telling stories and then tucking them away with Richard Branson and his mates on Necker. Yeah, at Jumanji 2, that's how he disappeared for all those years into the jungle. Monkeys on Shoulder and Tails 2, and that is the thing that I told you about Goodbye Mr. Chips. All of the war dead are the victims of these massive intellectual snobs that launch the false religion, yeah, as their most creative tool. Yeah, then he gets married to a Schneider. Okay, and let me show you the third wife stuff. You can look him up on Wikipedia and you'll see all of the religious frauds. I want to get down through all of the tabs before I go to bed. Okay, this is third wife needed urgently. Okay, so there's all the jokes about the global fraud and him being a part of it. That's why he makes those movies about being in the school and makes the school teachers jokes, and the kid that commits a suicide, yeah, is named Neil, and that's his friend at that school where he's been taken off the list, yeah, at St Albans school. Okay, so how Robin Williams remained close to the Pi Pi Pinoy family, yeah, from the Philippines, where they still use the Piso currency, yeah, with a Phil-American wife, yeah, all of it, all of the war criminals in those regions. There were horrible treatments of the people by the Japanese, and all of those stories are allowed out, yeah, and they're so nutritionally deficient that loads of them get dementias, yeah, and that is the use. I will not tell you what the materials are that they use to do that, but my toxicology friends in Canada were studying that when they came to study as they took a sabbatical and they came to work with me, yeah, and they were massive on the materials that were used to induce dementia-like states, and they've tried that on the common people, yeah, and that is the mad cow disease. And for a fast buck, the mad cow disease was launched, and it's a massive profit stream for even the corrupted farming people that we lived next to in Northumberland. All of them cashed in on it in a massive way, yeah, and I had to crash my car and junk it because it was so much of a risk to New Zealand's economy in the agricultural sector. The American actor and comedian's link to the Philippines goes beyond the impact of his movies and television work on Filipino audiences. For almost 20 years, Williams was married to Filipino-American wife Marcia Garces, allowing the actor to become part of an extended Pinoy family. Do you get it? That's, yeah, pinochle for the hitmen in the, that's the pinochle card game. It's the Pinnacle Hill Park that I live on, yeah, and it is the Pi Pi Pilgrims. It's the pie, it's the American pie. It is Jack the Ripper's target between the female legs. Yeah, after marrying in 1989, the couple divorced in 2008, but in an interview with the Philippine Daily Inquirer in 2011, when they had the massive storms, do you remember that? Yeah, all of the stories are there to open my eyes. Williams opened up about his ties with the Filipino side of the family, okay, and this is the naming of the Garces, and they've got the pants joke, that's the Panthera joke for Shania Twain, yeah, the Panther, the Panzer Regiment in Germany, all of them are the same murderous Piso lineages, yeah, and that is what killed the man Wood's dad, the commentator at the rugby on the BBC, yeah, Keith Wood's dad had a heart rhythm disturbance, and all the time Keith Wood used to say pants, pants, pants as a swear word, just to show that he's in the family, and he's still alive. His dad was not that clever. Okay, right then, so I think most of the news on Williams is on that tab. Teddy is on Mt Rushmore. Robin Williams. Oh, I've got 2 tabs on him now. Let's see what that one is. Oh yeah, this is the one that I've been labelling up tonight. Okay, so it's full of jokes, yeah, Christ, Columbus, and all the stories, yeah, so he makes all sorts of movies, okay, diagnosed with early stage Parkinson's disease, which was something he was not yet ready to share publicly. Okay, in March 2009 he was hospitalised due to heart problems. He postponed his one-man tour for surgery to replace his aortic valve. The surgery was completed on March 2009 at the Cleveland Clinic. Yeah, I don't think we'll bother with this. I think we'll just get on. It's far more interesting to show you how the power base changes, yeah, when Teddy takes over from the murdered president. Yeah, it's a massive joke, and that is the joke about JP, yeah, Jean Pierpont, yeah, that's the bridge and the pier joke, and it is the length of Pinocchio's nose, and the man JP Morgan has a massive nose, yeah, because he's got a skin disease, yeah, and he's got all sorts of pock-marked holes and pits in his nose, and it's just like Pinocchio's. Yeah, and that is the joke about religion and telling lies about Jesus. Yeah, and he's the man that is supposedly the saviour of all of the banks. During the late 70s and early 80s, Williams had an addiction to cocaine. Yeah, the grand jury helped him out of that. Okay, and here's all the research hospitals that he makes his movies in. William performed with it, and this is the profiteering for US troops far from home in Iraq and Afghanistan, sent there by the Bush family that are in the same lineage as Roosevelt, yeah, and are the Pilgrim Fathers, and are the Delaney's donkey jokes, and are all of the false religion, yeah. And we told you about the massive bloodlines that take you into Persia in the last video. Iraq is, I believe, Armageddon in the Bible. And they totally flattened it. And Dick Cheney is also a relative of the Bushes. He's in that bloodline somewhere, yeah, and he is linked to the Fienneses of Bedfordshire, and that is Ralph Fiennes and all of the massive goat jokes about Schindler's List. And Schindler is related to the Ike Eisenhower lineage. Yeah, it is totally sickening. Okay, and there's his charitable response to the God Jesus Canterbury, God's activity in Canterbury within months of us leaving that country. Yeah, within months of us leaving that country. The rugby stadium at Canterbury that was being built through all of our time there, yeah, in preparation for them hosting the World Cup in 2010, God gives them the earthquake. They're never able to use the stadium. Yeah, it's just amazing. Yeah, and that is the Christian church right in the middle of John Key's Lazar empire. He's a banking magnate like all of the world leaders, Alex Salomon Rothschild. Williams and his second wife Marcia founded the Windfall Foundation, a philanthropic for many charities. In December 1990 something, he sang in French on the BBC inspired music video of international celebrities cover of the Rolling Stones, It's Only Rock and Roll. Yeah, everything is the religious joke for this man. Yeah, and then when he pretends that there have been serial killings in the NHS in Britain, that's when he begins to get unhinged. Yeah, and that is the Shipman jokes about the same Iraq. Tim Shipman was the war correspondent for Iraq. All of that has come out of my amateur publications. Yeah, these multi-millionaires live it up, and then God gives them a conscience that they cannot escape from. Yeah, there's the other people in the story. That's the Hudson's Bay something, yeah. HBO television, benefit devoted to the homeless. Yeah, the Hudson's Bay, everything is a Rothschild scam. Yeah, Teddy in the Woods. In 1986, Williams teamed up with Whoopi Goldberg and Billy Crystal to fund Comic Relief USA. That is the Do They Know It's Christmas joke. Yeah, all of the British people that sang in those early versions of that have had minor heart attacks or strokes. Yeah, God gets to them all. Yeah, and they now make all of the movies and the films using cartoon characters. Yeah, like Kermit Roosevelt. Yeah, do you get it? That is the Muppets that run the country. Uncle Sam is the democracy joke. Yeah, the eagle for America, and Taze Russell in the religious fraud. Right then, so I think we'll go through these other tabs. The Underhill Society is fascinating. Okay, there's loads, all of it. So Williams is Episcopalian. Yeah, there's the St Helena joke in California. That is the Napoleon joke. That is the Naples cover for the Bible authors. Yeah, this is the Marcia stuff that covers. There's the name of his son, Zachary Pym Zach Williams, born in 1983. Yeah, and all of the jokes about the tiger and the zoos, yeah, the zoo Bacharach are the Lorelei songs, yeah, in the Rhineland for the Rothschilds, okay, and all of it is the American troops getting killed everywhere so that fat cats like him can have a laugh at it. Speaking at the 2008 BBC World Debate. Just a clown. Yeah, and that's why he makes the museum film with all the other clowns, and the Dutch mafia members are still in it. Yeah, that's the let's go fly a kite, yeah, and feed the birds, tuppence a bag stuff. Yeah, all of it, totally sickening. Yeah, and okay, let's get to the Underhills. It's interesting. You can look the rest up on, this is the secret society that is the Bilbo Baggins and Frodo Baggins, okay, and they've all got the Phrygian hats on for the pilgrims, and there's the Lord of the Rings icons. That's the pub in Brie where he is the owner of the reforged sword, yeah, and that's the French Aragon regents. Yeah, there is the man who's supposed to call himself Underhill, so they cannot let any of the secrets out, and there is the Jew that is the signatory of that. So that says, greetings from Middle Earth, Ian McKellen. Can you see that? Yeah, that is, I've got all his director numbers, and he now, with Hannah Rothschild, is only able to be a director at the National Gallery and the museums and the art galleries, yeah, because all of them are massively stealing against the people and the British students, who are all of their supporters because of that movie. Yeah, and I'm a great fan of it. When my mum died, yeah, I was able to keep myself sane by reading about the Underhills, and I played rugby with an Underhill at Thames Poly, yeah, with the Williams brothers, yeah, and with Max, my mate, who has told me how Jonah Lumu was killed by substance abuse by his trainers in Auckland, in New Zealand. Yeah, okay, and all of it. So Hobbit is over the hill and Underhill, yeah, and they live in homes under the hills. They smoke the Piso pipes, and you've just seen it, and that's the underground joke, okay. But the Underhill secret society is much more sinister. Okay, this is the militia training for the Pilgrim Fathers. So the man with the Phrygian hat teaches the pilgrims how to use the guns, and that's why when he makes the speech, when FDR is invited to speak to these people at a funeral of the original militia people, yeah, and their ancestors, a couple of generations on, he says, without these people I would not be here. Yeah, that's because the Indians would have gotten the better of them. Yeah, if they were really pacifists and they had come across weaponless. Yeah, do you see the magnitude of their jokes? And this is the fraud that is Christianity for 2,000 years already. Yeah, and they're based in Oyster Bay, in the New York Empire State Settlement that is still the Windsor bloodline, yeah, and that is actually the Cumbrian bloodline, where the Scottish people were stamped out and eliminated with the beheading of Mary Queen of Scots, the Stuart dynasty. Okay, so Oyster Bay is where they're based, and this is the Captain Underhill, yeah, that where FDR was invited to his funeral. So there's their street address, 30 West Main Street, Oyster Bay, New York, based in no room at fucking Innsbruck. Yeah, Hannah, Mary